The Toyota Crown is a really weird vehicle. So when it first got here, I was actually really confused by it, but the more time I spent driving it, I found that its weirdness was really starting to appeal to me. So here are 5 things you need to know about the 2026 Toyota Crown.
For more expert car reviews, don't forget to share our channel and subscribe so you can catch some of this and maybe even a little of that.
The first thing you need to know about the Toyota Crown is that even though it only arrived in Canada for 2022, the Crown nameplate has been around since 1955 in Japan. And the one I'm driving today is the 16th generation model, so it's been around for a really long time. Now, back in Japan, this vehicle was favored as an executive ride, so something to ferry around important people like government officials and such. So it has always leaned more to the luxury side than other Toyotas, which is really great, and I think it verges on kind of Lexus territory. Now, when it first arrived here, I was really confused by it because the styling was so wacky and there was nothing else like it. So the elevated ride height combined with the plastic body cladding to me said crossover, but this is fully a sedan, and I think it's kind of in a middle ground between sedan and crossover. But the more time I spent with it, the more its wackiness really started to wear off on me, and I actually really like the way this Toyota Crown looks. I think it is pretty stylish, especially because nothing else on the market really looks like it. The second thing you need to know about the Toyota Crown is that it is only available as a hybrid. And you know what? Good for Toyota for making it that way, because I think it's a really smart decision. So the Crown actually comes in 2 different trims. One's the Limited and one's the Platinum. I'm driving the Platinum version, and that one is geared more towards performance than efficiency, which is really cool. So both of the models have a very similar powertrain. They both start off with a 4-cylinder engine and Toyota's very good hybrid setup and all-wheel drive. So in the Limited version, the all-wheel drive system uses an electric motor and battery to send power to the rear wheels, but only when it's needed. In this Platinum version, it has a full-time all-wheel drive system. That means power is going to all 4 wheels all the time, which I think will make it a very confident winter driver. The other difference with this Platinum version of the powertrain is that it adds a turbocharger. So total system output is 340 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's enough to get this thing from 0 to 100 kilometers in like 5.8 seconds, which for a Toyota sedan is absolutely crazy. And just to put that into a little bit of context, the Toyota Supra with the automatic transmission does it in 4.1 seconds. So this is really not that much slower than a Supra, which I love to see. Now, the other thing to note is that because this Hybrid Max powertrain in the Platinum model is geared more towards performance, it's not going to be as efficient. Remember, it has a turbocharger, it has a full-time all-wheel drive system. It also has a more traditional 6-speed automatic transmission versus the Limited CVT. And this one also rides on bigger 21-inch wheels, whereas the Limited one runs on 19s. So those are all things that make this version a little bit less efficient, but those are all things that also make this one much more responsive and much better to drive. So I think in my books, that is a great compromise to make because this thing drives great. And that brings me to the third thing you should know about the Toyota Crown is that it drives surprisingly well. So I think its strengths are really in comfort and smoothness. I think the adaptive dampers and this suspension is set up in such a way that this crown really glides over rough roads and does a great job isolating all of that grossness from inside the cabin. So it's very, very comfortable. But it was also surprisingly great to drive. I was very surprised by the steering, for example. It is very direct and very responsive, and it feels a lot nicer than other Toyotas I've driven. So that was very impressive. But besides being comfortable, it also doesn't mean it's sloppy in a corner either. I think it handles itself really well through a corner. There's not a lot of body movement, and it feels very confident, which was a huge surprise. Now, the fourth thing you should know about this Toyota Crown is that it is very practical and very user-friendly. Two features that are absolute must-haves for me when I'm reviewing a vehicle. So let's talk about the practicality first. There are tons of spaces for small item storage. You know, the door pockets are big enough to hold a couple bottles. I really love this storage compartment under the armrest because you can open it from both the driver's side and the passenger side, which just makes it that much more convenient. The trunk holds 430 liters worth of stuff, which is pretty big for a sedan, and the rear seats can fold in a 40-60 pattern to make more room for longer items, which is great to see. Now, the only red flag that I wanted to raise, and it won't be a problem for everybody, like I'm 5'6" and I have tons of headroom in the front and the back, but if you're taller, like our fantastic video producer Will Johnston, he's sitting back there and he's about 6'2", and he's pretty uncomfortable. So if you're a taller person or you have taller passengers often, keep that in mind, because if that's the case, I suggest that you look at the Crown Signia version, which is the crossover, and that's going to have a lot more headroom and a lot of the same positives that this sedan has. But other than that, I think Toyota really nailed it with the practicality and the user-friendliness. So on the user-friendliness side of things, I think everything is so logically laid out here. So first of all, I'm very happy that there are lots of physical buttons and controls. The other thing I love is that they finally put this permanent tray of shortcuts here that's always visible. Now, I've been asking for that for a really long time, and it just makes it so much more user-friendly, especially when you're on the road and you're driving. This Crown also comes standard with all the features you know and love, like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's a head-up display. You know, the front seats are heated and ventilated. The rear seats are heated. It has so much stuff. And what I especially love about the head-up display is that it shows you your turn-by-turn directions, even if you're using Google Maps. And that's a new thing, and I really love to see that because it reduces the amount you have to flip between screens when you're driving, which means it's less distracting. Another thing I love is the upright wireless phone charger, and I like it when it's upright because it means it's in your face and you won't forget your phone in the charger, so that just makes it a lot more convenient. It also comes absolutely stacked with every single safety feature Toyota has to offer, and I'm really happy to report that this is maybe one of the first Toyotas I've driven in a long time where they're not just constantly beeping at you thinking that everything's an emergency. So that's something that I've been complaining about for a long time. So it seems like they have finally addressed it, and those safety systems only work when they absolutely need to. Great news. Now, the fifth thing you need to know about the Toyota Crown is that it is absolutely packed with value. So at face value, sure, the $65K that Toyota is asking for this seems like a lot to ask, but when you consider that it has so many standard features, that it is great to drive, it is so well executed, I think it actually has a lot of value. And just to put that into even more context, your favorite car reviewer, Dan, when he drove this, he said that it was one of the best vehicles that you can buy for under 100 grand. That to me should tell you how awesome and how much value is packed into it. So I think it's a great deal. The Toyota Crown is an excellent vehicle, and it's one of those rare ones where there's basically nothing wrong with it. It is so well-rounded and incredibly well executed. So for me, it's very easy to recommend the Crown to any driver who needs a great do-it-all vehicle that doesn't make a lot of compromises.